Welcome to the Navigating Your Life show. I'm your host, Nat Williams. Tonight we'll be talking about juvenile diabetes. Joining me to share her story and to help us understand the issue of juvenile diabetes is Krista Martucci, and she is a college student who's been living with type 1 diabetes most of her life. And I want to welcome you, Krista, to the show.
Hello.
Good. So why don't you share with us a little bit about what your journey has been with juvenile diabetes?
Well, I was diagnosed when I was about 6 years old.
Wow.
I was on needles for about 4 years maybe, and
When you say needles, that means you were putting the insulin.
syringes,
Okay.
yes. And I was introduced to the pump, and I've been on the pump since I was about 10, so 9 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and it's helpful.
Okay.
It's great.
So was life easier now with the pump versus with the needles, or they all have their challenges no matter what you're doing?
Yeah, I would say they're about the same, because you still have, with the needles, you have to give yourself the needles, and with the pump, you still have to check yourself and give yourself the insulin.
Okay.
It does do a lot of stuff for you, but you still have to do stuff with it.
Sure. And one of the things that people have been talking to us about is the challenge that having diabetes does place on your life. There's some things you can and can't do. What have been some of the things that you've had to recognize regarding how you pace yourself and the amount of time that you give to be able to do something and before you have to check your levels again? What has been the impact on your life of having diabetes? And again, you've had it for a major part of your life, so you may not really remember anything else but having it, but please share.
Well, I remember back in kindergarten and all that, they would throw parties and the teachers would be like, oh no, you can't have that because it's sugar. So I never got any of that stuff.
Wow.
I have to take time out of my day to check my sugar, give myself insulin, and it's time consuming, but I have to do it.
Yeah. One of the things in talking with a kid once, she said that I want to quit diabetes.
Yeah.
Have you heard that before?
I think about it all the
All the
time.
time.
Yeah.
How do you quit diabetes, and what do they mean by when they say that?
Well, you can't really quit, but you don't want to deal with it anymore.
Because it is somewhat of a challenge to deal with. Wow.
It is.
And when you think about this is something that you will live with for the rest of your life. It's not like it goes away at any particular point.
No.
And have you talked with other people as to how that journey has been for them as they've dealt with it from the beginning, early stages of their life to adulthood? Have you had an opportunity to hear from them?
Well, I have a friend who's also diabetic my age, and in high school I've had 2 teachers who had diabetes, and we've had diabetic club meetings. Like, we just made it up, but
wow.
I heard from them, yeah.
Good.
And they say just take care of yourself, or you're in for it.
Right. Well, Krista, I want to thank you for sharing your story. One of the things we wanted to do with this segment was really hear from a person as to what the impact was, and then have a chance to spend some of the rest of the show hearing some different perspectives as well. So I thank you so much for coming in and spending some time with us. So thanks so much. Good. Well, we have to stop now for a brief commercial break, and when we come back, I'll be visiting with the Smith family, who are going to share their story about life with diabetes as 2 parents and 2 children, and the 2 children have juvenile diabetes. So please stay with us, and we'll be right back.
Are you ready to experience personal success in all 8 domains of life? Then join Dr. Nat Williams for the Absolutes of Success Weekend Transformation Program at Tucson, Arizona, and achieve your greatest potential. Registration includes a 2-night stay with meals at the beautiful Westward Look Resort. Register today, only $6.99, or register with a friend and pay only $9.99 with shared room. Call 1-800-810-3683 or visit absolutesofsuccess.com.
Carmen, age 14, is an energetic teen whose favorite activities include baseball, football, bike riding, and fishing. Carmen also likes NASCAR and country music. He's in the 7th grade, and Carmen receives special education services and benefits from the small class size and individual attention. Last year, his academic achievements earned him the Most Improved Student of the Year award. The ideal home for Carmen would be a 2-parent family that would provide the structure and supervision he needs. For adoption information, please access the National Adoption Center's website at adopt.org. For further information specifically on Carmen, please contact A. Cressman at adopt.org.
It's about changing the world in which we live.
It's about playing, living, and working together.
It's about escaping from special programs.
It's about finding leadership.
And social justice.
The Pennsylvania Developmental Disabilities Council believes that disability is a natural part of the human condition.
We are working to create a commonwealth where all people thrive in shared citizenship.
And everybody wins.
Ready for some fun? FunWorks assists individuals with and without disabilities to participate in community activities. These activities are provided in small settings for 1 to 8 individuals with at least 1 to 2 direct support professionals. We visit places like Dollywood, Willow Valley Inn, Phillies Games, Iron Pigs Games, the Lehigh Valley Zoo, and more. Let us know your dream trip. Our staff is dedicated to ensuring your dream activities come true. For more information, call 888-966-9466 or visit funworksinc.org.
Today we're sitting down with the Smith family, which comprises Carl and Ann and Rachel and Ryan, and we want to hear from them about their experience with being a family that has 2 youngsters with type 1 diabetes. So first, why don't we start with Carl as the father. What is that challenge pose for you as a father of 2 children with type 1 diabetes?
Yeah, it's just everyday life, you know, it changes drastically. You just can't get up and go as easy as you used to. I mean, we've been dealing with it for quite a few years with Rachel.
But what do you think is the upside of it? Did you see any upside of having children with diabetes? I've heard from a lot of people as we've started doing the show, a lot of the challenges, but there must be something that's a positive aspect of dealing with this as well.
Well, I think, you know, the positive thing is they're more aware of life than most kids.
And how precious it is.
Oh yeah, they value it more, you know, as at an earlier age, and they're a lot smarter with eating habits and you know, just basic life itself, you know.
And Mom, your perspective of this challenge?
I agree a lot with Carl, but it's hard for me. It was always been hard from day one. I worry every day. But they're doing better than I thought they were going in such a short amount of time. Ryan's only been over a year, and he's wonderful.
Good. And how did you know, Mom and Dad, that this was a challenge that your children had? Where did the information come from? Was there an incident, or it just was?
Well, you know, when my daughter was first diagnosed, I did so much research because I was trying to figure out how this could have happened, because we didn't have it in our family. I had a grandmother who had type 2, and he had a grandfather. But we didn't know where it came from, so I did so much research trying to think if I could have made it stop.
And it was in November when we first saw something happening and a change in Rachel.
What did you see, if you don't mind sharing?
She was very thirsty.
She was very thirsty. She didn't look herself. She was pale, and we noticed it for months. And it was finally, I think, in April of the following year that we noticed and realized, you know, we better check out and see what's really wrong, you know, and we took her to the pediatrician, and that's when it all started.
Wow. Good. And is it normal for 2 siblings to have that in a family?
No.
No.
Okay.
No.
So then, after Rachel was diagnosed, how long after was?
She was 5, and it was just been a year in February.
Okay.
He's now 8.
Wow.
So several
He was
years
7.
later.
And it wasn't him, you know, the personalities were, especially in him, I mean, you could tell he was nasty.
Very angry.
Very angry person.
So for you, Rachel, how has this journey been?
It's been okay. It's had its ups and downs, but I think it's okay having diabetes, but it's fine.
Good. And have you seen how it's changed your life in some challenging ways and also some positive ways?
Well, some of the challenging ways are people were looking at me differently. They thought something was wrong with me. And the other ways, it was nice because people were actually starting to understand and concerned that I was different and had something wrong with me.
Okay. And Ryan, you are 8? Okay. So what has this challenge been like for you?
When I first got it, I didn't want to really do it. So then days after that, it didn't hurt that much.
Okay. So you became able to accept what the situation was, and you've dealt with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Mom and Dad and Rachel and Ryan, is there anything else that you want people to know about juvenile diabetes that they may not know before, a point that you want to share with them?
It's very important to maintain their blood sugar level so that there is no complications as they get older. Okay. That's the most important thing to me at this point.
Because you let it go off the charts, it's going to have implications going into
They might not see it now, but as they get older.
Sure. So maintenance and paying attention to it. Yeah. Ignoring it is not an option.
No, it's not. Wow. Not at all.
Okay. Carl, please.
I mean, I know when we first started, with all of this, the kids I know were looked at a little bit, well, Rachel, you see a little bit of hesitance. They don't want them to come over to their house because it's, could be, oh no, what if something happens? But it's really manageable, and it's nothing to be afraid of. It's just like having a cell phone on their side, and that's what a lot of kids think.
All kids want a cell phone, right?
Yeah, so that's her cell phone she has.
Wow. So again, I want to thank you for coming on today's show, and we reached out to our partners at Great Wolf Lodge, and they have given you 4 one-day passes to their water park. So we hope that you'll be able to go there and have a good time. So I'll give this to, how about Ryan? We'll put you in charge of that. All right?
What do you say?
You're welcome. You're welcome. I hope you enjoy it. Sure. When we come back from our commercial break, we'll be joined by a nurse practitioner who works with individuals with diabetes, as well as a young adult who has diabetes. So please stay with us. We'll be right back.
The Banana Factory is Lehigh Valley's premier community cultural arts center, promoting and sharing visual arts with everyone. This outreach educational center features a clay studio where students learn the art of ceramics with some of the region's most renowned artists. The Lehigh Valley's only hot glass studio, promoting the art of glass blowing and the glass-making process. The Olympus Digital Imaging Center, where students learn the art of digital photography and much more. Come experience the world of art at the Banana Factory. Call 610-332-1300.
Campus Outfitters is the #1 source for school clothing from kindergarten to your senior year. You'll find athletic apparel and gear, custom embroidery for teams and businesses, adult casual career wear, and polos starting at just $9.99. Pants from $12.99. Easy, convenient, and new styles all the time. Visit the experts at Campus Outfitters, Route 209 Broadheadsville, next to the ShopRite. CampusOutfittersOnline.com.
You choose your doctor, you choose your pharmacy. Why shouldn't you choose your in-home healthcare provider? The good news is you can and you should. When your hospital or doctor prescribes home care, Alan Lear Home Care Associates will work with you in the comfort of your own home, providing a full range of services. Our nurses are dedicated professionals that take the time to get to know you and help you return to your optimal health. Call Alan Lear Home Care Associates, caring for you when you need us most.
In these challenging times, your organization needs employees that maximize results. HumanWorks Training and Educational Services provides results-focused seminars for your staff. Topics include management and motivating employees, stress management, team building and leadership skills, and cultural diversity. Register today, just $89.99 or $75 for chamber members. Call 484-893-5057 or visit hwtes.com.
Well, welcome back to the Navigating Your Life show. I'd like to welcome to the studio now 2 guests. We have first Colin Moitson, who is an adult with type 1 diabetes, as well as Kaylin Slowick, who's a pediatric nurse practitioner who also has diabetes and also works with individuals who have the diagnosis as well. So ladies, thank you for coming. So thank you, Kaylin, for being here, and thank you, Colin. Thank you. So Kaylin, we're going to start with you first because we've been using terms throughout our dialogue about type 1 versus type 2. Could you tell us what the difference is between the two?
Type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune condition that typically occurs in younger individuals, so starts off in childhood. We take care of kids who are, in their toddler stage. I think our youngest patient is maybe 16 months or so, up until kids are 21, and that's just because I'm pediatric focused. Type 1 diabetes, something happens where your pancreas stops producing insulin, so your body no longer can handle sources of sugar like food and what your own body produces. And type 2 typically occurs later in life. We are seeing it now in kids, unfortunately, with the obesity problem. Typically occurs more with obese children with a family history, so grandparents and parents that have type Type 2. Type 2, your body still produces the insulin, your body just isn't able to take it up and use it. So you still end up with both diseases having higher blood sugars.
Very good. And so you said use the word autoimmune. What does that actually mean in layman's terms?
Something is triggered in your body and it starts to a series of events that eventually kill off certain cells in your pancreas. And the cells are called anti-islet cells, or islet cells. And the antibodies, kill off the ability to produce insulin, which is needed to handle the body's blood sugar.
And what does insulin do for your body?
Insulin helps regulate your blood sugar, which, like I said, food, has sources of sugar, and so that all needs to be regulated.
So it's an important organ.
Absolutely,
for sure.
yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Carla, you've experienced diabetes throughout your life, and could you tell us a little bit about your story?
Yeah, I was diagnosed with diabetes when I was 11 years old. So I was a kid when I got it, so it kind of affected everything in my life. I know that from the very beginning, things were harder. It made a lot of my choices kind of defined for me from that point on. So, I mean, it was easier getting it as a child, though, because I didn't cook for myself, so my mom cooked for me, so she changed the lifestyle of the entire family. So it was something that I kind of grew up with, eating healthier. But it definitely has changed over the years. Things have gotten harder, but that's something that I kind of expected. So
what were some of the kinds of things as a youngster with diabetes that had to change once you understood? And was there an event that happened that helped you to realize that you had, diabetes and there was something, was a medical issue?
My mom actually was the one who thought that I had the disease. I remember she sat me down on the couch and she told me one day that she thought that I might have a disease, which was kind of a little overpowering for a little kid. But she noticed it because I lost a lot of weight and I was drinking a lot of fluid and I was still eating a lot. But when I look at pictures of myself from back then, it was kind of scary how small I was. So, and she brought it up to my pediatrician, and my pediatrician didn't think anything was wrong, but then my mom was adamant about going back and saying I want to get her checked. So it turned out that I was diabetic. So.
And again, some of the lifestyle changes. What changed once you knew that you had diabetes? What did you have to do differently?
Well, your eating habits change, obviously. Just normal things that you do as a kid weren't exactly easy anymore. Like, I'm a very active person. I really like to play a lot of sports. I like to go to the gym. I like to work out. I like to do all those things. And it's a lot of monitoring that's involved when you are diabetic. And I have an insulin pump, which makes my life a lot easier to be able to do those things. But at the same time, you have to, if you're doing certain sports, like if you're in the water, you have to unplug, you have to check your blood before, see where you're at, give a little insulin, make sure you get out of the water after a certain period of time and check it again. So there's a lot of different things.
So like, going in a pool or going in the ocean for endless hours and just playing, it's not something a child with
not really. You have to just make sure that you're conscious of the fact that you need to get out and check your blood, because if you just forget about it, then that's when things can go bad. But there's certain things you can't do. Like, I was just on vacation in Cancun, and I wasn't allowed to go scuba diving because I was diabetic. So there's certain things that they won't let you because it's too much of a risk.
And Kaylin, Carla mentioned about a pump, and there are different remedies that a person could use that has, or a child could use that has diabetes. What are some of those remedies?
Well, technology is certainly always changing, just like it is with anything else. Pumps are basically the best thing out there. It allows for a lot of flexibility with your life.
When you say a pump, we'll do our best to try to put on camera now a picture of a pump. But what is a pump?
A pump is a device that is inserted into your tissue, basically just same tissue that you give shots into. You change it out every 3 days, as well as the insulin supply.
So it's like a needle that's going into your skin?
Yes, it's a plastic catheter that delivers insulin automatically, a little burst every hour.
So you don't have to do all the measuring, it's doing that measuring for you?
It is, it's pre-programmed. So along with your a medical provider, they help you program settings in. And then when you eat meals, instead of taking a shot, you also are able to give a little, what we call bolus of insulin. It's a small amount that changes based on what your blood sugar is and what you're eating.
And that's one of the things that you had pointed out, Carla, and I'm sure you would agree, Kaylin, is there's a lot of monitoring that goes on, and it's not something you can just wing. And so a sensitivity to factoring that in is so very important. And for people to be tolerant for that, if you're around individuals that have diabetes, is to understand that they'll need to take some breaks to make sure that they're safe and not putting themselves at greater risk.
Yeah.
So as we get ready to wrap up our time together, I want to give both of you a chance to share any other thoughts or insights that you have on the issues of diabetes, and primarily the issue of juvenile diabetes. So why don't we start with you first, Carla?
Well, I think that one of the things with diabetes that's important is that you have like a good support network. Like I have a very good family and a lot of good friends, and my boyfriend is actually my personal trainer. Working out with people who understand what it is makes it easier. But for other people to understand what to do when there's a problem really makes your life a lot less stressful, because it's frustrating. There's a lot of like overwhelming things when it comes to all of the daily regimens that you have to do when you are diabetic. So it makes your life a little hectic. But just having that good support network is really what makes things better, and having good diabetic educators and things out there that you can reach out to, it makes your life easy and manageable.
And before we go on to Kaylin, do you think that enough people know about diabetes, and whether your colleagues at work, your other people that you have contact, do you think enough education is going on about?
Well, I think there's education out there, but I don't know if I believe that a lot of people really understand all about it. I mean, I think people get misconceptions through like a lot of different things, and people think that when you're low, you drink a little glass of juice and everything stops and you're okay, which is not necessarily the case. People don't realize that like diabetics are misdiagnosed with being bipolar because their moods fluctuate with their blood sugar. That's like a big thing too. And so people think that you're acting weird when it's just sometimes your sugar is that way. I know that there's like a lot of people who don't understand enough about it. So.
Okay, but I want you to be careful, Carla, you may have given some people excuses who have some mood problems, but we'll just go off and say, I have diabetes, so just bear with me. Well, thank you, Carla, for sharing. And Kaylin, any closing thoughts that you'd like to share?
Well, I definitely agree with Carla that a support system is key. A lot of diabetics take on a lot of issues. Themselves with stress. A lot of different things affect your blood sugar. I think especially for kids, there's a lot of parents who become very frustrated because they can't always have control over the numbers are going to fluctuate, the blood sugars are going to fluctuate. So the more education that you can have, the more proactive you can be with it, is really important.
Well, members of our crew were talking before we went on camera about being at a fair, and they were having a diabetes testing available. What would you say about when you pass a kiosk that has some testing going on for diabetes? What would you want our viewers to do when they pass that opportunity? And I'm sure you'd want them to take advantage of it, but I want to hear your thoughts on making themselves available to testing.
I think, if there's a family history, I think that's really important to be as aware as you can as if your parents have had problems with their blood sugar, always look for signs and symptoms, weight loss and being more thirsty and being more tired. Those are things that can be, you could see those in a lot of different disease processes, but to, always have, go to your doctor regularly. We can usually pick up on it very, very quickly. And thankfully, I think the education is out there, and I think, like Carla said, you need to seek it out and be as educated as you can to hopefully prevent things before they happen.
Well, again, Kaylin and Carla, I want to thank you for being here. Your information has been most informative. So, again, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this to wrap up today's show, so stay with us.
When caring about someone becomes caring for someone, there's help at your beck and call. For over 12 years, Beck and Call's in-home caregivers have been providing assistance with the activities of daily living, everything from mealtime to bathing, or just being there when you can't be. Being at home is important to them. Give them flexible assisted living services that come right to the door. Gain peace of mind. Call Beck and Call today at 570-426-7507. We look forward to your family becoming part of ours. As we all know, the job market is difficult to penetrate.
please look at the short resume on the screen and contact the email address below if this person's skills is of interest to you or your company. Let's help him get back into the saddle. Well, I hope today's show has been enlightening, encouraging, and empowering for you. According to the American Diabetes Association, 1 out of 12 people in the United States have diabetes. With so many lives being affected every year, it also affects millions of more family members throughout our country as well. Most of us know of a family member, a friend, or a coworker living with diabetes, but we might not fully understand how this disease really affects their daily lives. I hope from today's show you've learned more about diabetes and how much it forever changes the lives of those around you. Before we wrap up today's show, I wanted to take a minute to highlight a young man taking on a challenge of walking across America. He's trying to do something to heighten awareness, and we want to salute him for his efforts. Please do whatever you can to support those in our world who are trying to make a positive difference. Again, thank you for spending time with us this evening. I look forward to having you join us next week when we'll be discussing diets that work. Till then, be well. Thanks for watching.
A list of resources related to today's show is available on our website, which is navigatingyourlifeshow.com. On this site, there is a connection to our Facebook and Twitter pages and to our blog. While you are there, you can also email your comments on today's show or share ideas for future shows.
Navigate your life. Enlightenment. Navigate your life. Empowerment. Navigate your life. Encouragement.